Breaking and very unfortunate news coming out of Berea as Baker Mayfield and Kevin Stefanski have been added to the COVID-19 list, and it continues to just snowball and grow. As of right now, and I mean really as of right now because I expect it to change, we're looking at a total of 17 players, a head coach, and a running back coach, all expected to miss this upcoming Saturday's game. If you're unvaccinated and you have 2 negative tests 24 hours apart, then you could find a way to make a comeback and play, but it's Wednesday, the game Saturday. It just doesn't seem very likely. So at this point, prepare for the worst, which is you'll miss all 17 of those players and have a happy surprise, and not that kind, if there is a way you can get some of those guys back. With no Baker Mayfield and no Kevin Stefanski, it's going to be the Case Keenum and Mike Prefer show. Mike Prefer, the special teams coordinator, you may remember him from being the head coach in the wild card game last year. He filled in for Stefanski when he went down with COVID, so a bit of a familiarity, at least in that sense. But Case Keenum, you've seen him start once. You know you kind of have in him. He's a backup, but he's a top half backup. With all this said, though, we're going to get to the entire list. Subscribe if you hate COVID. Honestly, it ruins so much, and then it touches so many lives, and of course, then it impacts the Cleveland Browns and the entire NFL and sporting as a whole. So subscribe if you hate COVID. We're almost at 3,500 subs. Help us get to that mark today, because I know you hate it, so you might as well hit that big red button and just try to put an end to this madness. Here are the current positive cases. We need more graphics. Baker Mayfield, Kevin Stefanski, Jarvis Landry, Wyatt Teller, Jedrick Wills. Those are 5 starters on the offensive side on just that one screen alone. Then on defense, you've got Takkarist McKinley, John Johnson. By the way, I don't know everyone that's vaccinated and unvaccinated, but I do know that John Johnson is reportedly unvaccinated, which means he will have to miss at least 10 days. There's really no ifs, ands, nors, or buts about it. Troy Hill was injured and likely going to miss anyway, so that's just kind of a double whammy right there. You feel for JoJo Natson. He was having a good start. He had a good game last week. You thought maybe you could build on that. Austin Hooper had a touchdown last week. Plus, David Njoku was on the COVID list last week, so you're already extremely shorthanded. We'll look at the entire depth chart for a handful of these position groups. But on top of those 10 cases right there, Jake Trotter just came out, and that's the reason why I had to stop filming for 5 minutes to add these names to the list. On top of Hill, Johnson, and Mayfield, also Malik McDowell in the middle line, and Malik Jackson's hurt. So that's awesome. And then you have Odenigbo, the defensive end. You're already down your 3rd defensive end. So it just continues to get worse and worse. I wish I could try and spin this, but there's no spinning. This just sucks. It really does. And it makes you wonder, should the game be postponed? A lot of Browns fans are asking for it, and rightfully so. I'm going to give you my opinion in a moment, but type your Y's for yes or your N's for no. I'll make this the pinned comment so you can easily find it. Scroll on down. It's the first one up there. I'm going to hit you with a YouTube ad break, unless you got that YouTube Fancy Pro. So just, if you get hit with an ad break, scroll on down and reply, and when the ad's over, come back up for the rest of the video. I don't see the NFL postponing this game. It was clear before the season started that the NFL was not going to postpone games. In fact, they would double down on that by saying if a COVID outbreak happened amongst amongst a lot of unvaccinated players, they would force that team to forfeit. The only player I've heard so far that is unvaccinated is John Johnson. That's what I'm looking at the Browns Twitter feed right here from Brad Stainbrook. So I just don't see the NFL postponing the game. And Nate Ulrich from the Akron Beacon Journal, he said this: NFL spokesman on Browns Raiders Saturday, there's been no discussion of a change to the game status. We'll see if there's a discussion soon, because the Browns are they're missing 17 players. You're missing a head coach. That's a lot of bodies. That's not enough a practice squad could replace. And add on top of that, it's not the simplest process in the world these days to sign someone, pick someone up. If they're vaccinated, it is, but if they're unvaccinated, they're not going to be able to play on Saturday most likely. So let's go through some depth charts here. We'll start with the most important one. You got Baker Mayfield. He's on the COVID list. Case Keenum is likely going to start in his place. And then Nick Mullins, who's had a couple good starts when he was with the 49ers, he's on the practice squad for now. I fully expect him to get promoted. On to the wide receiver room. Wow, this is a gutted one. No OBJ. Jarvis Landry on the COVID list. You got DPJ and Higgins. Those are going to be your wide receiver 1 and 2. Anthony Schwartz is still dealing with the concussion. Then you go to JoJo Natson, who's on the COVID list. Jamarcus Bradley just got promoted to the active roster. So it's going to be DPJ, Higgins, and Bradley. And then you just picked up this guy named Alexander Hollins, who, hand up, I have no idea who that is. He got signed to the practice squad. I would think they'd elevate him to the active roster once they see he's in football shape. So there's 3 to 4 wide receivers. I mean, you're really stretching thin at this point. On to the offensive line. Wills and Teller on the COVID list as of now. You picked up a free agent, made him add in the practice squad. I'm guessing Blake Hance is going to go to Wills' spot at left tackle. And then Michael Dunn over Nick Harris at the right guard spot. And I guess for how much strength you have at the offensive line anyway, and Hance is a veteran 6-man swingman. At least he has been the last couple of weeks, although he's kind of just got benched for James Hudson. You try and make it work. And you can't forget that Jack Conklin's out for the season as well. So just a cherry on the top right there. We'll get to some more depth charts in just a moment. But type me if you hate COVID. How can you not at this point? I mean, at this point. You absolutely do. Everyone hates COVID. So get your me's down below. I wish I could say it would get some positive news here, but at least we can all vent together and express our frustrations here at the Browns Report. Come do it here. I mean, this is a good spot to do it. On to the tight end room. There's no one. Austin Hooper, he's on the COVID list. David Njoku also was on the COVID list last week. No status on him right now. Harrison Bryant's dealing with a high ankle sprain. Steven Carlson got hurt before the season started. So you picked up 2 guys that I can't even confidently say I know how to pronounce their last names. Miller Forstall, he was a tight end for Alabama. And then Nick Guggemos. It is just... I mean, it looks like Scrabble right now. It really does for some of these names. We're going to talk about Case Keenum and what to expect for the Browns this upcoming Saturday in just a moment. But BetUS is our proud sportsbook partner. They've got great deals going on. They get you a 125% deposit bonus. And all you got to do is go to chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code Browns125. I wish I could give you the odds for Browns Raiders this Saturday, but the books, without even looking, have yanked them because the Browns are down 11 starters. That's half a team. 11 starters. So predict the score for me. Browns, Raiders. I won't even mock you if you pick the Raiders because, sure, the Browns are a better team, but they're not a team right now. The Browns team is at home isolating. Then you got a couple guys hanging out at the practice facility praying they don't get a positive test. I mean, probably the second worst positive test if you're not expecting one. So, Browns, Raiders, predict the score for me down below. Let's talk about Case Keenum. He's in line to start, unless Baker, who by the way is vaccinated, he says he's feeling fine, unless he returns 2 negative tests tomorrow, Thursday, and then Friday. He's not playing. It's just that plain and simple. Case Keenum had 1 start back in Week 7 against the Broncos and led them to a victory. Those are the numbers so far this season. 286 yards. He's tossed a TD. The Browns offense put up 17 points with him. Sure, that's not great, but for a backup and for what the Browns offense has done the last couple of weeks, that's more. So I don't think the Case Keenum route is all that terrible. There's worse backups in the NFL. Let's put it that way, right? You can't be too upset to have Case Keenum as your backup when you know how bad it could be, how you've seen other teams like the Dolphins, for example, Jacoby Brissett, really go under with that backup situation. But let me ask this question to you. Do you have faith in Case Keenum? Really? Get 1 for yes or 2 for no. A lot of people have been asking for Case to start. So now you get your wish. You really get to see what it's like with no Baker Mayfield and no bad blood, right? No like sitting or benching Baker. It's just out of everyone's control. Case Keenum's going to be the starter this week. If he goes out and balls out, it'll be a big decision, I think, for Stefanski in this offensive. By the way, speaking of offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt, the OC, he's going to take over for the play calling duties for Stefanski. It's just like the playoff game last year on the coaching side of things. But back to Case Keenum. He did beat the Broncos. So you have that. And the Broncos are a better team than the Raiders. So you can do the transitive property. We can go back to geometry in high school and figure out that, well, maybe it's actually not the worst thing in the world to have those guys. one last time, let's wrap through the positive cases here in case you missed it. Baker, Stefanski, Landry, Teller, Wills. Those are 4 offensive starters and your head coach. And then you go a little bit on the defensive side. McKinley, Hill, who's going to be most likely out anyway, John Johnson, and Austin Hooper. And let's get the tweet up from Jake Trotter, producer Trace, to get the other couple names there. And then I'll go through quickly and verbalize everyone that's hurt to really just put a bow on what's been an absolute Desert Storm shit show. Anthony Schwartz, out with a concussion most likely. Harrison Bryant missed last week with an ankle injury. Greg Newsome, forgot about him. He got a concussion on the last day of practice during a bye. That sucks. Ronnie Harrison, can't forget about him. Oh, and Kareem Hunt, what's one more? He's out with an ankle injury most likely as well. Anthony Walker's hurt. Did I miss anyone? I mean, Bueller? No, I think that's all. So I wish I could bring more positive news today, but make sure you are subscribed to the channel because when we have breaking news, we're moving as fast as we humanly can right here at Chat Sports and at the Browns Report to get you guys this news because, unfortunately, sometimes you just got to take your medicine and swallow it down. So make sure you are subbed to the channel. If you already are, we appreciate you being a part of the best Cleveland Browns YouTube channel on YouTube. At least my mom says so.